This is Valley News Live at 5.
Breaking news for you now. The NDSU Bison football game that was originally scheduled for this weekend at the Fargo Dome has been rescheduled because of COVID concerns. Instead, the game against South Dakota State will be played on Saturday, April 17th. On to more breaking news. The Board of Cass County Commissioners is now declaring a fire emergency and burn ban in Cass County. Officials say there should be no burning of any kind. To read the full declaration, just head over to our website, valleynewslive.com. Click on this story. The high winds continue to create problems across the valley, downing trees and power lines and causing a mobile home fire in Wadena County. Authorities say they got the call just before 2:30 a.m. about a mobile home on fire in Lyons Township. That's northeast of Wadena, Minnesota. When deputies arrived on scene, they noticed a tree had been knocked over in the high winds. The tree caused damage to power lines, knocking them down, and those power lines were across the roadway, and a mobile home was fully engulfed in flames. Deputies say the mobile home and several pieces of machinery and equipment were damaged. Authorities say poor visibility is to blame for a crash that happened after a 15,000-acre grass fire in Polk County yesterday. The Polk County Sheriff's Office responded to a crash on 320th Street and 120th Avenue Southeast just before 5:30. They say a pickup truck hit an Erskine fire truck head-on and kept driving, nearly hitting another one. The fire truck had so much damage it couldn't continue fighting the fire. The Sheriff's Office says the driver of the pickup was 47-year-old Mark Johnson of Mentor. Not only do we have the wind, but the cold was a bit of a shock this morning. Let's get a check of this evening's forecast from Summer. Hey, Summer.
Hey, Andrea. Yeah, it was a cold start to the day, and we didn't really warm up much. It has been chilly all afternoon long. In fact, at this hour, we are 40 degrees colder than at this time yesterday here in Fargo, 44 degrees colder in Bemidji, 45 degrees colder in Alexandria, 36 degrees colder in Grand Forks. But just a couple of hours ago, right around that peak heating time, we saw differences of nearly 50 degrees. So it has been a very chilly day, especially compared to yesterday. And we're seeing a lot more cloud cover in addition to some passing snowflakes in the air as well. Grand Forks has seen a few, and we still do have the wind for just a couple more hours. That wind advisory continues until 7 p.m. And some peak gusts over the last 48 hours, about 68 miles per hour out in Leeds, 67 miles per hour in Langdon and Cooperstown. But good news, Andrea, we won't be quite so windy for the rest of the evening, just a little on the breezy side. I'll have a much quieter forecast coming up in a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Summer. One of the two men charged with shooting and killing a Fargo food truck owner has now pleaded guilty and will spend over 20 years in prison. 32-year-old Charles Harris pleaded guilty to murder for the June 2019 death of 38-year-old Jason Halverson. Court records state Harris will serve 25 years in prison and will be given credit for the nearly 2 years of jail time he's already served. 21-year-old Kareem Lee Bird Jr. is also charged with Halverson's murder. Halverson was pronounced dead just after 2 in the morning on June 7th in 2019 near his food truck in the 300 block of 6th Avenue North in downtown Fargo. Halverson's autopsy showed he had several gunshot wounds. Bird told police that he and Harris fired multiple rounds at Halverson after a verbal confrontation. Harris originally told investigators that he was not directly involved in the shooting. Bird is still scheduled to go to trial in late July. Police in West Fargo are currently searching for a suspect involved in an aggravated assault that sent 4 schools into lockdown. The suspect was last seen running east from the scene at 9th Street and 13th Avenue East around 9 this morning. Police asked for all exterior doors to be locked at West Fargo High School and 3 elementary schools, Eastwood, Ellie Berger, and Willow Park. Police then lifted the closure about 90 minutes later, saying there's no threat to the school or students. They say the assault is not connected to either of last week's shootings in West Fargo, but also wouldn't release any more information, saying it would jeopardize their investigation. Authorities are releasing more details about yesterday's crash where an RV ended up in someone's yard in Fargo. It happened just after 5 yesterday afternoon at the intersection of 10th Street and 5th Avenue South. Fargo police say the driver of a motorhome ran a red light after the passenger snatched the keys out of the ignition and left the driver unable to stop. The driver was cited for driving without insurance, and a report for the passenger was completed for reckless endangerment. That report has been forwarded to the state's attorney's office for review. A thrift store in the Northern Valley is asking for help after catching thieves on camera recently. St. Joseph's Social Care and Thrift Store posted this video online. They're asking the public to drop off donations only during scheduled times because people have been stealing donations that are left after hours. If you would like to make a donation, drop-off times are from 9:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday through Saturday. They're located at 620 8th Avenue South in Grand Forks. Day 2 of the Derek Chauvin murder trial began with frustration and tears. Witnesses sharing with jurors their memories and emotions from the day George Floyd died. The former Minneapolis police officer's knee across his neck for about 9 minutes. Jay Gray is at the courthouse with more on this high-profile case, where the focus has not only been inside the courtroom, but outside as well.
He just pretty much just killed this guy.
Day 2 begins with raw emotion.
Man, he was unresponsive. He wasn't resisting arrest or any of it.
Donald Williams wiping away tears as he listens to his own voice during a 911 call the day George Floyd died.
Did call the police on the police.
Right. And why did you do that?
Because I believe I witnessed a murder.
It wasn't right. He was suffering. He was in pain.
That's the voice of the young woman whose cell phone video of Derek Chauvin with his knee across Floyd's neck has been seen by millions around the world and now is key evidence in the case. The judge ruling she would testify off camera, shielding her face because she was a minor that day. On this day, nothing could hide the emotion in her voice.
It's been nights. I stayed up apologizing and apologizing to George Floyd for not doing more and not physically interacting and not saving his life.
Chauvin took notes throughout the day and at one time stood and removed his mask so a young witness could identify him. That 9-year-old telling jurors Chauvin initially refused to release his hold on Floyd when paramedics arrived.
And what did the ambulance people do?
They just had to put him off, get off.
The defense team declining to cross-examine the little girl.
Several of the young witnesses said they pleaded with Chauvin to take his knee from Floyd's neck and that he just stared at them without responding. Defense attorneys say the angry crowd played a role in the events that day. A big day in Minnesota. Starting today, all Minnesotans over the age of 16 will be eligible to get the COVID-19 vaccine. But there's an issue with how many people can get the shot in Clay County. Staff at Clay County Public Health say they only received 300 first doses of Moderna this week. That's about a third of what they received last week. They aren't able to vaccinate the 16 and 17-year-olds just yet because of only having the Moderna vaccine on hand. Clay County continues to work on priority groups such as food processors, manufacturers, and those with underlying health conditions. After this group has received their chance of getting vaccinated, the general population is next.
We just need more vaccine. Once we have more vaccine, we'll be able to get more people vaccinated. So we keep moving in the right direction. I know people are getting tired of being asked to be patient with that, but we're doing everything that we can.
And there is some good news. Officials say they haven't wasted a single dose of the vaccine. You can go to Valley News Live to see how you can sign up when it is your turn for vaccinations. North Dakota State University is partnering with Sanford Health to hold its first COVID-19 vaccine clinic on campus. It will be open to students, faculty, and staff. The clinic will be held Wednesday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Sanford Health Athletic Complex. And to stay on top of the latest COVID vaccine-related information, use our VNL Vaccine Tracker. It's right on the home page of our website, or you can open your phone camera right now and point it at the QR code on your screen, then tap the link that pops up. The Secret Service, which protects presidents and cabinet officers, has just released a study of school shootings and how to stop them. The agency's National Threat Assessment Center analyzed nearly 70 disrupted school plots over the past 2 decades. Senior investigative correspondent Catherine Herridge spoke to one school safety advocate. He lost his own daughter in a school shooting 3 years ago.
Targeted school attacks frequently occur after we've had a absence. We know that COVID has given many students and schools the longest break in attendance they've ever had.
Tony Montalto lost his daughter Gina 3 years ago when a former student killed 17 people and wounded 17 more at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida.
Gina was my forever 14-year-old daughter.
Today, with millions of kids learning virtually and not in the classroom, some students lost their support network and mental health services.
Some students, sadly, have not been in a nurturing and comfortable environment through the crisis as they learn from home.
The new Secret Service report said students who plotted attacks shared many similarities with students who carried out violent attacks. They had histories of school discipline and contact with law enforcement. They experienced bullying or had mental health issues and used drugs or alcohol. The report concluded school violence is preventable when communities identify warning signs and intervene.
Early intervention is key.
Dr. Lena Alathari and her team at the Secret Service analyzed nearly 70 plots that were reported and averted between 2006 and 2018. Classmates were among the first to observe the warning signs.
In this report, we've seen that students were the most positioned to come forward with this information.
After the 1999 Columbine shooting, the Secret Service studied school safety.
The attacks that we studied in averting targeted school violence were really serious in nature. If you look at how far they got in their planning and the situation, this really could have presented serious harm.
The Parkland shooter had a long history of emotional and disciplinary problems. Montalto is now president of Stand with Parkland, a group pushing for school safety and gun reforms. Were a lot of warning signs missed?
Yes, many warning signs were missed. There were over 40 interactions with him and the local law enforcement. Everybody knew what a danger he was.
The report identified other concerning behaviors, including an interest in violent or hate-filled topics and a fixation on mass shootings like Columbine. Montalto says his daughter would have been graduating, part of the class of 2021. Their family has channeled its grief into action.
It doesn't lessen the pain, but allows us an avenue to work through and something to work towards, rather than possibly dwell in our grief constantly.
The Secret Service told CBS News that every school is different and needs a plan that meets its unique needs. The new report is a starting point. And here's a heads up for people who travel along South University Drive in Fargo. On Thursday, the city is moving a house. Crews will start the move at 8:30 in the morning, and it will impact traffic for about 2 hours. It's moving from the area around the Fargo Country Club to its new location south of Fargo. The traffic impacts will start at 21st Avenue South and continue south down University Drive. Police will be posted along the route directing traffic. If you have good driving habits, it could save you money. What one automaker is offering later on Valley News Live at 5.
And today has been a very chilly one with temperatures only in the 20s and a low 30s, but we will recover. Tomorrow, another chilly day, but I'll let you know when we could see 70s. Back in the forecast, coming up in that 7-day planner right after this break.